I feel like every few months I get a hit of inspiration to start cooking more. And of course, as we are in my favorite season being fall, I also think this is like the best season for cooking, right? So much baking, so much good vibes, warm spices and herbs, and just fall has all the good things about food. Fall has all the good things about everything. Fight me. But as I'm getting this hit of inspiration to start cooking more fun things, fall things, exciting things, I thought I would make this video because I've also been trying to incorporate more food waste into my recipes. Instead of just going straight to the compost and composting anything that's possibly waste, I try to think of how I could use it in other recipes. So hence today's video. Some of these are my own ideas. Some of these I got from my friends, which I'll remember to link them below. Of course, composting is a good thing, but if we can repurpose those ingredients and actually make them useful before we compost any scraps, that's always going to be the most eco-friendly thing to do. So if you would share any of the recipes that you use food waste in the comments below, I would really appreciate it. And I want to give a huge thank you to today's sponsor, which is Skillshare. I've been using them for years, absolutely love them. You can learn a lot about different ways of cooking and baking and all sorts of stuff over on Skillshare because they are a learning platform with over 30,000 courses. And we'll talk more specifically about the one that I'm taking this month. But if you want to jump ahead, the first 1,000 people to click the link in my description will get 1 month of Skillshare's membership for free. So make sure you check it out. First couple things on the list are things that you can do before your food is going bad, right? So maybe your food is just on the brink of like, you don't want to eat it, like that lettuce, it's a little soft. You don't want to put it in your salad. The apple is a little bruised. The texture's weird. I don't know. Are you a texture person? I can't eat certain things once the texture changes. So maybe this is just me, but something you can do with those types of vegetables and fruits is juice them. I try to make it a point to keep track of what's going bad, what needs to be juiced, what needs to be put in the freezer, that's another idea, and what needs to be put in a smoothie. So always keep those things in mind. Even if you don't like want a green juice right now, you can always freeze those ice cubes, use them in future juices, smoothies. Utilizing your freezer is a big way to prevent food waste, but juicing in smoothies are also really good. I had a very short-lived series on my Instagram where I repurpose food scraps, and these are going to be some of the ideas that I shared over there. I'd love if you go follow me on the gram, and if you want to see that series revitalized, let me know. But one of the things I did is whenever I was making kale chips, you strip the kale chip off of the stem, and then it's like, what do I do with the stem? So I would chop those up and use them as like a salad topper, not necessarily as a replacement for croutons, but to add a different texture into the salad, and I really enjoyed doing that. You could also make like a slaw with them. Just throwing out different ideas off the top of my head that I've used them for. I didn't even write that down, so there's a bonus for you. So I tried this bread from Imperfect Foods the other day. It was stale, okay? Literally no one in my house would eat it. And I felt so bad just composting it, so I thought, I wonder what I could like reuse this for, right? There's so many different ideas here too. You could turn it into something like French toast. You can also make croutons. And by the way, I did this a couple nights ago with that bread, which is kind of like what inspired this video. But the best croutons I've ever had. Once you have a homemade crouton, you're never going back. So if you're someone who like hates the heel of bread, or if your bread just got stale, or if you buy a loaf of bread that's just not good, making croutons is so easy and you only need a few ingredients to do it, and I guarantee you have them all at your house already. If you have extra red wine that you're just not gonna get to and you don't wanna put in the refrigerator because apparently it's like sacrilege to cool or chill red wine. I don't know, I'm not really a wine drinker, but you can use your red wine to make a red wine vinegar. And this is a really good thing to do whenever you do have leftover wine, because I feel like recipes that call for red wine vinegar are not that common. But when it is something I need, I never have it. So on the off chance that I have red wine left over, make red wine vinegar and thank me next time you read a recipe that calls for it. I mentioned in the beginning that we should juice things before they go bad, but save that juice pulp. And also a good tip here is to juice each thing like separately. So whenever I would make juices, I would always do my greens first, kale, spinach, so that I could use that juice pulp for one thing and I would separate other ones. You could freeze juice pulp from fruits for other things, but this one that I use, I saved all of my spinach juice pulp and I turned it into a spinach dip. This was honestly one of the best recipes I ever came up with. Just chef's kiss. I literally just looked up a plant-based spinach artichoke dip recipe, substituted the spinach for my juice pulp, and bam, it was so good. If you juice everything separately, like I said, then you can take the pulp from your apples when you're making apple juice and put it in your oats. This is also so good. It's kind of like apple pie oats. Madison makes them almost every morning, so whenever I can substitute her apples for juice pulp, it's really good. Did you know that you can make vegan honey or really just corn syrup at home? You know those little bears that they sold in the store? I'm sure they still do, but they called it honey, and it wasn't honey at all. It was actually just corn syrup. Yeah, that's basically what this is, but you can make it from food scraps. So if you buy corn, you eat the corn, you can use those cobs to make corn syrup. And my friend Catherine, Going Zero Waste on Instagram, recently did this and went like quite viral for it. And people really were hating on her because they're like, it's just corn syrup, it's not vegan honey. But like, it is, that's what it is. Regardless, if you need a sweetener, or if you need corn syrup or a vegan honey alternative, then this is a really great way to reuse food waste scraps before you compost them and actually make something from them. I'll leave her video link below. It's actually super easy, and I recently made it and it was quite good. I'll also link below Catherine's recipe for an apple cider vinegar because it's the only one I've ever tried and actually succeeded at. I've seen a few other recipes floating around online, but it just never worked out for me. Catherine made her own apple cider vinegar, so I'll link her recipe below, and that's something you can actually do from apple waste, apple cores, and things like that. Everyone knows and loves the recipe of a DIY cleaner by basically just soaking citrus rinds in vinegar. I absolutely love doing this, but I really like to use lemon and limes. I've mostly seen people use orange peels, but lemons and limes work just as well. If you juice a lime or you eat a lemon or you use it on something, save those rinds, make it cleaner. But speaking of rinds, there are actually so many different things you can make from citrus peel rinds. You can make a marmalade, which is like a different version of jelly. You can make tea, which I did recently. Basically, you just want to dry out those orange peels. I also used some ginger peels from when I peeled my ginger. I guess that's another way you can reuse food waste scraps. Put both of those into a tea, and a ginger orange tea, it's good. You can also use those peels to make a syrup. That's actually where I got the peels that I most recently reused. I was making a syrup for our soda stream, which is super simple. It's just a reduction of sugar and fruit juice. Makes a simple syrup. You can also, speaking of syrup, make a vanilla syrup from leftover vanilla beans, or you can save your vanilla beans and make a vanilla extract. That takes much, much longer, but it's another way to reuse and get the most out of a vanilla bean, because those things are not cheap. This one is also super quintessential in the zero waste movement, but it is reusing all of your different food waste scraps to make a veggie broth. I save particular vegetables to get a particular taste in my veggie broth. Carrots are obviously the go-to. Green onions, celery, onions, garlic, those sort of things, saving those to make a veggie stock is so good, and just another way to get the most out of your veggies before you have to throw them out. So save them in your freezer. Once you have enough, make a veggie stock, and then you can even save that in the freezer and you've got it for whenever you need it. I would definitely recommend trying to use your carrot tops as a pesto. I tried this for the first time a couple nights ago, and again, chef's kiss, very good, highly recommend. I only make almond milk around this time of the year. When I start to get those vibes of the fall, I spend more time in my kitchen, and so making homemade almond milk doesn't seem like that much of a chore around this time of year. I don't know why. But there are so many ways to repurpose the almond pulp that you get from making almond milk, so here are a few ideas. You can literally just reuse it as almond flour. I have a NutriBullet that has a milling blade, and you can just mill it down into a flour and use it in so many different recipes. Almond pulp crackers, almond pulp cookies, almond pulp granola, almond pulp muffins. Use it wherever you please. It can come in handy in so many different recipes. That rhymed. I'm Dr. Seuss. I also have a video on my Instagram of how I tie-dyed clothing using avocado pits and skins. I personally don't eat avocados, okay? I don't like them. I know I'm a horrible plant-based person, But Madison loves them, so I'll save the avocado pits and skins, and you can dye things with it, and it makes the most beautiful, like earthy pink color, and I really, really enjoyed doing that. But that's a really fun way to reuse food waste scraps. You can also do the same thing with onion skins. It makes a really pretty, like golden orange yellow color. And always keep in mind, you can regrow or replant a lot of your food waste scraps. I highly recommend looking up all the ways. The most common ways I've done it are just green onions, celery, and romaine. But I think there are some other ones, like you can regrow potatoes, I know. I think you can even do this with like onion tops, so many different things. So many people do it in different ways, but it's a fun way to reuse food waste scraps and also to do something fun. To grow something is always an exciting, fun thing to watch. Well, I hope this sparks some ideas for you. I hope you're absolutely loving this season, because you know your girl does. Let me know what ways you reuse food waste scraps in your kitchen, and let me give another huge thank you to Skillshare, a sponsor I absolutely love. If you're subscribed to my newsletter and you've seen my secret videos, link in the description, you know I am in big need of self-care recently. So I'm really excited to tell you about this course I actually found through Skillshare called The Ultimate Self-Care Playbook. Discover and nurture your centered self. I think this is really, really cool because self-care is different to everyone, but this is kind of a great overview. It's by Jonathan Van Ness, and since it's over on Skillshare, there are no ads you have to listen to, and you can start taking this course right now with the link in my description with 1 month free trial to Skillshare. And since Skillshare offers membership with meaning, you can connect to fellow creatives and enter a community of encouragement, communication, and inspiration. So if you're ready to start learning, make sure you check the link at the top of the description. The first 1,000 people to click my link will get a free month to Skillshare's membership.